You are my brother family. I'm sorry I've been gone for a minute. But tonight I wanted to bring you guys another episode just because of the situation we happen to find ourselves in. And before I get going, I want to thank you guys for subscribing to the content, listening to the content. You know, this channel is about uplifting our communities. And when I say our communities, I really mean all of us. So this is the You Are My Brother episode. And what I want to talk about tonight is really about stopping the hate. And let me be clear, I want to talk to my Asian American community here. And I know you guys are suffering and going through a very rough patch here. And I want to say that, you know, we're all in this together, this fight. One thing we have realized is no matter whether it's Black Lives Matter, the fight at the border for people to, you know, get into a better country and create a better life, or whether it is that what our Asian Americans are fighting against right now. And I want to say tonight is a real troubling episode, and the reason why is that honestly the heart is heavy tonight, because I don't know where you guys are in the world, but you know, we had a horrific crime. I'm currently in the city of Atlanta, and a horrific crime happened last night, and it's just one that I just cannot understand for the life of me. So before I really get going, I want to say, like I said, thank you guys for listening to the content. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to like it. Feel free to share it, because we're really all in this fight together. So I really want to talk to my Asian American community tonight and basically say that, hey, we're all in this fight together. I know some isolated incidents have happened, but the level of cowardness that I saw last night, I just can't even believe it. And the rhetoric around it, what would make a person do something so sinister? And I just find it hard in my heart to even understand it. And what this is really teaching us, if anything, is that we are all in this fight together in order to make a better America for our kids. We're really all in this fight together. No matter whether you're Asian, Latino, Black, or even if you're white and you subscribe to a humanity first concept, we really have to stand tall and we really have to fight. So I want to really challenge my Asian American community members to say, how can we work together no matter where we are? Because, you know, as we all know, we may have differences, but we are all what they consider to be U.S. minorities, and we have to keep fighting to create a better way. So if you guys don't really know the story, basically there was a gentleman up in North Georgia who basically decided that he was just going to kill a bunch of people randomly. And this really hit my heart heavy, and it hit my heart heavy for a number of different reasons. One is, like I mentioned earlier, is that the level of cowardness it takes to really go around and just aimlessly kill people is mind-blowing and baffling to me, one. But then the second thing is, just for you to go around killing a bunch of women just makes no sense to me. What would make you do that? And, you know, I've talked to a lot of people today, got a lot of information, and found out a bunch of news here in the city of Atlanta. And I just wanted to touch really on a couple of points. And the first one, like I mentioned, is just that we all have to stay together in this fight, because if we are divided, the message just will not resonate. We need to protect our Asian American community members, and I'm here to help any way I possibly can. The second thing is I want to talk about the individual. I don't know this individual. I've heard rhetoric about this individual today, but one thing that stood out to me is that this gentleman was 21 years old and told the authorities that once they apprehended him, that he had a sex addiction. And I want to pause and I just want you to think about that for a second as a defense. What in the world would a 21-year-old be thinking about doing, going to a spa in the first place? Now me, I'm a little older at this point in my life. I've been to spas, and you know, throughout my life, I'm from the great state of New York, and we have plenty of spas in New York. And please get your mind out of the gutter. I'm not talking about any, you know, rhetoric around that. But the point I'm trying to make is that when you are 21 years old, This is usually the point where if you're going to college, you're a junior at this point. You could be a sophomore, you could be a senior in your college life. If you're not in college and you're out there working or living your life, what would make you even think about going to a spa? And I'm really saying to myself, at 21 years old, you telling me all the women that live in your local community, did you just strike out with all of the women that live in your community, gave you no chance, and you decided to go to a spa to do what exactly? And I'm really struggling with that, is to say, why would a 21-year-old even think about going to a spa? I mean, some of you might be younger, some of you might be older, but a 21-year-old, I mean, I know we're living in the midst of COVID and everything, but God, I probably should have never said that word here, but we're living in the state of this pandemic. And, are you trying to tell me that you had no opportunity to meet regular women in your life? That is truly sad that that has happened, and we have to find a way to stop the hate, and we have to work together to just root out this evil. This is pure acts of evil, and we have to root this out, and we must work together to do it. If we try to do it alone within isolated communities, it is not going to happen. We have to protect each other here. The next point I want to talk about real quick is the statements from the police officers, which I found just to be horrifying and shocked. So, this gentleman started his killing spree, and it was absolutely a killing spree. Started his killing spree way up north in the county which this happened, which is Cherokee County. Later made his way into the city of Atlanta to continue his acts of hate. Then proceeded to go even further south, probably on his way to Florida, to commit more acts of hate, which is truly sad and horrific all within itself. But the question I asked myself is, when I watched the press conference today, the press conference was led by City of Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who basically gave her presser, but then it took a weird turn, in my opinion. And what I really mean by that is, you had a Cherokee County police officer say that the victim, or the alleged murderer in this case, later confessed that he had a sex addiction. And I want to stop right there for a second. Since when do we listen to convicted or alleged, in this case, mass murderers? When do we take that their words for granted, or their words are the truth? Where does that happen at? That we're going to listen to that? That's the first part. The second part, why is it that they found this gentleman so far south? And why is it that the apprehending officers within that particular county, within that particular city? And if you're driving 75 south, I don't know if this gentleman was in Savannah. I don't know if he was in Waynesboro. I don't know if he was in Macon or somewhere in between. But why wasn't those people the first to apprehend this gentleman and get his information? Is it normal protocol? Look, I don't know. I'm not the expert in this. But I think it's very strange that the Cherokee County officers made it seem like they talked to this gentleman and then he confessed to them. It should have been the officers in the area where he was later caught and apprehended that first spoke to this gentleman first, in my mind. Let me know if I'm wrong. But then, or the GBI, why weren't they the ones to do this information and apprehend the suspect and then question him? And I'm not rushing to judgment here, but I just found that strange all within itself. But the point here that I really want to make is that I find that strange. And then there was another way that the press conference took another turn for me. The gentleman up in Cherokee County, the police officer, stated that this gentleman had a bad day And this is the way he chose to act on his bad day. And I'm saying to myself, this gentleman had a bad day. What are you talking about? The people that he killed had a bad day. The people that he murdered in cold blood will never, never have another bad day, another good day, another mild day, another average day, whatever you want to put on it. So don't attempt to humanize somebody who goes around here and commits senseless acts of hate in this point. Now, I want to definitely hear from you guys' thoughts, so feel free to get at me in the comments and feel free to share this, because the point that I'm really trying to drive home here is that we cannot do this by ourselves. It cannot be, the Black community. It cannot be the Latino community. It cannot be the Asian American community, Indian community. It has to be all of us together. And that is the only way we are going to root out this level of hate. And we have some good white brothers and sisters out there, and they have to participate in this process as well, in eliminating this senseless act of violence that makes no sense. And if we stand together, we will eventually root out this level of hate. But until we work together, we're going to sit up here and see instances like this again. And I would never wish that upon anybody. So my heart goes out to those women who lost their lives here, those community members, because those women, they could be mothers, they could be aunts, they could be grandparents, they could be anybody. And then now those families will have to suffer. So my heart goes out to you. But just know that my Asian American community, we have to work together. There is no isolation methods that are going to get us over the finish line. This is important that we work together to root out this level of senseless hate. I am confident we can do it, but we have to work together. So as a community, and I'm speaking to all of us now, let's stop the hate, work together to root out the senseless acts of violence. Thank you for listening to this episode of You Are My Brother.